Welcome to another AutoCAD tutorial from Between CAD Classes. Today I'll be creating the part that you see here on screen. Before I get into the modeling, let's take a look at the workflow that I'm going to follow as I create this part. There are many different workflows that can be used to create the same part. This is just one possibility. So first I'm going to start with the L-shaped extrusion here with the curved surface on it. Then I'm going to add the half circle shape to the front of the part. Then I'm going to add the hole. Then I will add the rectangular extrusion to the bottom of the part. And then finally I will chamfer the back edge of that rectangular extrusion. Let's take a look at the detailed drawing as I look at my dimensions for my first shape. So once again, I'm going to start with the L-shaped extrusion with the curved surface. I can see that it is 50 millimeters tall and 38 millimeters wide. From the front view, I can see that the front portion is 19 millimeters tall. And based upon the 22 millimeter radius here, I can see that the top portion is 22 millimeters thick. Finally, from the front view, I can see that this shape is going to be extruded 68 millimeters. Back in AutoCAD, I am going to begin by switching my view. I want to switch to an isometric view, so I will use my view drop down and choose my southeast isometric. For my initial sketch, I don't want to sketch on the flat horizontal surface. I actually want to rotate my sketch plane, so I'm sketching basically on the side of the shape here. As we look at our X, Y, and Z UCS icon, what I basically want to do is rotate about the Y axis. So here in my coordinates panel, I'm going to click the drop down next to the rotate tool and choose to rotate about the Y axis. I'm going to go ahead and pull my mouse to the left here so that it rotates at 90 degrees. And now we can see I have a vertical sketch plane here. Next, I'll create my shape. I'm going to click on the bottom of the view cube here so that it looks that direction. And then I will just simply start with the polyline tool, a point at 0, 0. So we had seen in the detailed drawing that this shape was going to be 38 wide by 50 millimeters tall. It's going to come in 22 millimeters. And then I'll just draw a vertical line for now and come back to this. So back to my origin point then, I will start here again and come up 19, and then I'll draw in to meet the other line. I'll use my trim command to trim out the excess there. Currently I have two different polylines, so I'm going to go ahead and join these together. So I'll type J and enter. Select all my objects and press enter. Now it's one polyline. Before I extrude, I'm going to go ahead and add in my 22 millimeter fillet here. So here in the modify panel, I'll locate the fillet command. I will select radius in the command line and put in 22 and enter. Then select my two lines to fillet that. Next, I'll go ahead and select my home symbol here. And I am going to extrude this shape. So I'll choose extrude, select my shape and enter, and I'll go with the extrusion distance of 68 and enter. I'm going to change my view style to shaded with edges. I'm also going to change my UCS back to the world UCS, and I'll select home again to view my part. Now I can actually see that this switched to the perspective mode, which I actually don't want. I want to keep it in an isometric view. So I'm going to right click on the home button and choose parallel. Next I'm going to add the half circle extrusion on the front. So here in my status bar I'm going to make sure that I have dynamic UCS turned on. I will begin my circle command. And then I will hover over this front surface and snap to the midpoint of this top line. Now I'm ready to enter in my radius value. So let's take a look at the detailed drawing. And we can see that this shape has a radius of 18. So back here in AutoCAD, I'll go ahead and enter in my radius value of 18. I could certainly trim this circle out, but it's not actually necessary. I'm going to go ahead and extrude, select the circle and press enter. And I want this to extrude into the part. One of the things that I want to be careful about is if I extruded it 16 millimeters to match this flat shape, I'm going to end up with a gap between the curve and the cylinder. So I want the extrusion to go at least as far as this curve. So I could arbitrarily click a point, or I could type in a value as long as it's long enough to go into that curve. The other thing I want to note too is that the positive Z direction is going out, so I'm going to want a negative Z direction. For mine, I'm just going to go ahead and put in negative 38, which is the full depth of this part, so I can actually see the outline of the circle on the back of the part. So here I have the two parts. I'm going to combine them into one using the union command. So here in the solid editing panel, I'll select union, select both shapes and press enter. And now we can see that that's back to just one nice solid part. Now I'm ready to add my hole in. Let's take a look at the detail drawing, and we can see that it is a diameter 14 with a depth of 16. So back in AutoCAD, I'm once again going to use the dynamic user coordinate system to locate a circle. So I'll choose the circle command, hover over this front shape, and I'm going to hover over the curve here until it locates its center point. Then I can go ahead and click on my center. Obviously, if you don't have that, you want to check your object snap settings and make sure that center snap is turned on. Next, I can put in my radius value. So we said it was a diameter of 14, so I'll enter 7 and enter for my radius value. Then I'll go ahead and extrude this shape. Extrude, I'll select the shape and enter. Once again, a positive value is going to come out, so I'm going to go negative 16 to go into the part. Then I need to subtract that to create the hole. So I'll select my subtract button. First, AutoCAD wants to know what I want to subtract from, so I'll click the main solid, then press enter. Now it wants to know what I want to subtract, so I will select the circular shape on the inside here, then enter. Now you can see that the cut has been made. Next, I'm going to add the rectangular extrusion on the bottom of the part. There's several ways I can do this, but once again, I'm just going to use the dynamic user coordinate system to locate it. Let's take a look at our detailed drawing. We can see that this rectangular shape is 22 millimeters in from each side of the part. Taking into account the overall width of 68, that means that this shape is going to be 24 millimeters wide. Looking at the side view, we can see that this shape is 12 millimeters tall, and it is going to be extruded back a length of 95. Back in AutoCAD, I'm going to go ahead and begin my polyline command. I'm going to hover over the front face, and then I'm going to track off of this bottom endpoint. I'll track to the right here 22 millimeters and press enter. That will give me my first point. Now I can draw straight down 12 from there, straight to the right 24, back up 12, and in the command line I'll go ahead and select close. Now I've got my closed rectangular shape here. I'll begin my extrude tool, select the shape and press enter. Once again, positive is coming out, so I'm going to put in a negative value, in this case negative 95, and that creates the next feature here. Now this is still a separate solid, so once again I'm going to use the union command to make one solid here. So in the solid editing panel, I'll select union, select all of my shapes, and press enter. Now I can see that it's one selectable object. Finally, I am going to add in the chamfer. There are actually a couple of different ways I can do this. I could use the 2D chamfer command, or I could use on the solid tab the chamfer edge command. I'm going to use the 2D command, so I'm going to click the drop down and choose chamfer. I'll come in here and pick on the edge, and you can see that it highlights a surface. As I look at my command line, it says enter the surface selection option. Basically, I can select the next surface, so in which case it would choose the one down here, or I can press enter to accept this one. So I'll go ahead and press enter. Next, it asks me for my base surface chamfer distance. So this is the distance that's coming off of this shape. So in this case, it will be 6. Then it asks me for the other surface chamfer distance. I'll enter 12 and enter. Then it wants me to select the edge, so I'll select the same edge once again and press enter. And now you can see that the chamfer has been added. I'll go ahead and select my home button here. Once again, it switches to perspective, so I'm going to right click and bring it back to parallel. And there you can see the completed part. I hope you enjoyed this AutoCAD 3D tutorial. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already, as I will be continuing to post more AutoCAD 3D tutorials. Thanks for watching.